Aisha Williams had always loved her hair, thick, coarse, coily, unapologetically Afro. From the time she was a little girl, sitting between her mother's legs on the front porch in Atlanta, while her mama braided rows into her hair with that wide-toothed comb and coconut oil, Aisha learned one thing. Her hair was her crown. But that crown came with battles. By the time she was 17, Aisha had lost count of how many times teachers told her that her hairstyle was too distracting, or how many strangers reached out to touch it without asking. But she never let that change her. Not once. So when she landed a job at La Lumiere Beauty Lounge, one of the most high-end salons in Los Angeles, she showed up on day one in a crisp white blouse, skinny black pants, and her Afro-styled high. Round and bold, just the way she liked it. She was 24, full of dreams. And this? This was her big break. La Lumiere catered to Hollywood's elite. Actresses, influencers, executives. The floors gleamed. The furniture was velvet and marble. Clients sipped champagne while stylists snipped, curled, and sprayed. Aisha had worked so hard to get here, top of her cosmetology class, countless hours assisting stylists for free, mastering techniques on all hair types, but always specializing in natural black hair. She was proud of her roots, literally and figuratively, so when she walked in that morning, shoulders back, smile wide, Afro glowing in the morning sun, she had no idea the storm that was coming. "Hi, I'm Aisha," she greeted the receptionist, with a warm grin. The receptionist, a tall blonde named Candace, gave her a quick once-over, eyes lingering just a little too long on her hair. "Oh, you're the new girl?" "Yep. First day." "Right. Okay, hang tight. I'll let Val know you're here." Candace walked off without another word. Aisha felt her chest tighten. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe it was nothing. But then came Valentina, the salon manager, tall, icy, dressed head to toe in designer black. She approached with a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Aisha, welcome to La Lumiere. You're shadowing today. Keep your station clean, be invisible unless asked, and no cell phones." Aisha nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Valentina's eyes flicked again to her afro. "And we do have an image to uphold. You may want to consider a sleeker look tomorrow, just something a bit more in line with the brand." There it was. The first cut. Not with scissors, but with words. Aisha blinked. "Excuse me." Valentina's smile stayed frozen. "Just a suggestion. Let's get started." That day, Aisha kept quiet. She shampooed. She swept hair from the floors. She folded towels. And she smiled, even when some of the other stylists whispered and giggled behind her. Beck, she heard it. "She looks like she's from the 70s. I thought this was a luxury salon, not a protest rally." She'd be pretty if she tamed it a little. It stung. But Aisha had learned not to flinch. She had heard worse growing up. She had endured worse. She told herself, prove them wrong. Work hard. Make them respect you. That night she went home and cried in the shower, not because she regretted her hair, but because she felt the old ache again, that quiet, suffocating truth black women carry, that no matter how talented, how kind, how polished you are, your natural self is never enough. Still, the next morning she returned, afro out, bigger than ever, and this time with a fire in her eyes. Day 2. Same salon, same uniform, same radiant afro, bold and beautiful. But today, Aisha walked in with quieter steps. She noticed the glances. She noticed the hush that fell when she entered the break room. She noticed how Candace, the same receptionist from yesterday, suddenly became too busy to greet her. Still, she smiled. She told herself, be professional, be kind, be undeniable. But something was shifting. The first client she shampooed that morning, a middle-aged woman with platinum extensions, leaned away subtly as Aisha approached, then whispered, just loud, enough to be heard, can someone else wash my hair? I don't want oil transfer." Aisha froze. She blinked. Did she just Before she could process it, Valentina stepped in. "Oh, of course, Mrs. Klein. Gina will take care of you." Instead, and just like that, Aisha was pushed aside. Not by policy, but by prejudice wrapped in politeness. "Go restock the towels," Valentina said without even looking at her. So she did. She folded towels. She restocked shelves. She mopped a floor. That didn't need mopping, anything to hold it together. But by lunch, the little cuts had added up. In the break room, 3 stylists were chatting over kale salads and green smoothies. Aisha grabbed her lunch from the fridge and sat a few seats away. Silence. Then one of them, Jess, a stylist with rose gold curls and a perfect Instagram smile, tilted her head. "So, Aisha," she said sweetly, "is that your real hair?" Aisha nodded. "Yep, all me." Jess gave a theatrical gasp. "OMG, I could never. Doesn't it, take forever to do anything with it?" Aisha smiled. "It takes time, yeah, but it's worth it." Another stylist chimed in. "Do you ever, straighten it just to mix it up?" Aisha's smile didn't falter, but something in her chest tightened. "I like it the way it is," Jess giggled. "No judgment, it's just this salon is all about polish, you know? Smooth, sleek, editorial vibes. Your look is, very bold." Aisha folded her hands on her lap. "And bold isn't beautiful?" Jess blinked. "Oh, no, I mean, it's just not our brand." There it was. Again, not direct, not loud, but sharp enough to sting. She finished her sandwich in silence, then returned to her duties without another word. That evening, after hours, Aisha stayed late to clean her station. She caught her reflection in the tall, ornate mirror, eyes tired, shoulders tense, but her afro still full, still proud, still hers. She whispered to herself, "They don't get to shrink me." But then came the moment she didn't see coming. The next day, day 3, she was assigned her first real client. A high-profile actress, white, famous, a regular at La Lumiere, Valentina, warned her, "Don't speak unless spoken to, and do not try anything experimental. She likes things done her way." The actress, let's call her Victoria, walked in with her designer bag and attitude, sat down, looked up, and frowned. "Is she my stylist?" Valentina rushed over. "Oh no, she's shadowing. We'll get someone else for you." Victoria didn't speak to Aisha the entire time she shampooed her hair, didn't say thank you, didn't look her in the eye, but did, as she got up, whisper to Valentina, "That hair. Not very hygienic for a salon, don't you think?" Aisha heard it. Clear, cutting, cruel, and Valentina said nothing. Later that afternoon, she called Aisha into her office. The door clicked shut. Valentina crossed her arms. "I've received concerns." Aisha sat straighter. "About what?" "Your presentation." Aisha blinked. "My presentation?" "The hair." Aisha. "It's big, distracting. Some clients find it unprofessional." "Unprofessional." The word echoed in her chest, like a slap. She inhaled slowly. "My hair is clean, it's styled, it's mine." Valentina didn't flinch. "This isn't about you, Aisha, it's about the comfort of our clients. And they have expectations." A pause, then, almost gently, "We're asking you to wear it differently. Maybe a bun, or get it relaxed." Aisha's jaw tightened. "And if I don't?" Valentina's expression didn't change. "Then unfortunately, this isn't the right salon for you." Aisha stood up, heart pounding, hands cold, but voice steady. "Then maybe it never was." And she walked. Out! Aisha didn't cry when she left the salon. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things or call anyone, or even look back. She just walked, down the sleek sidewalks of Beverly Hills, past the luxury stores and valet-parked sports cars, past the perfect hair and the polished smiles, just walked. And when she finally stopped hours later, her feet aching, her heart heavy, she was back at her tiny studio apartment in Inglewood, where the paint peeled near the windows and the floor creaked when you stepped too hard. She collapsed onto the couch. The silence wrapped around her like a cold sheet. She had fought so hard to get here. Years of study, practicing on cousins, working night shifts, being told you're good, but being told not the right fit. And now, once again, her hair had been the reason someone told her she didn't belong. It wasn't about skill. It wasn't about talent. It was about the way she showed up, as herself. And that was what they couldn't handle. She sat in that silence for hours, no music, no phone, just stillness. Then slowly the tears came, not loud, not dramatic, just soft, like a leak in the soul. She cried for the little girl who once thought being good would be enough. She cried for the woman she had become, tired, yet still trying. And most of all, she cried for the voice inside her that whispered, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm too much." The next day she didn't leave bed, or the day after. But on the third day, her phone buzzed. It was her mom, Mama Rose, the woman who raised 3 daughters on her own, who braided hair in their living room for 25 years, who wore her own afro like a crown made of fire. "Aisha, baby," the voicemail said, her voice soft and southern. "I saw your story. You don't owe nobody an apology for being exactly who God made you to be. You hear me? They didn't fire your hair. They fired their own blessing." Aisha closed her eyes. Let the words soak in. They didn't fire your hair. They fired their own blessing. She played it again and again, until something stirred in her chest. That night she stood in front of the mirror, hair wild, puffy from sleep, a little dry at the edges, but still hers. She picked up her comb, sectioned it slowly, started twisting. No music, no tutorial, just her, reclaiming her space. Each twist was a statement. Each coil was a promise. "I'm still here. I'm not hiding. And I will not shrink for anyone." Later that week, Aisha posted a video on TikTok. It was simple. Just her in her bathroom mirror, twisting her afro into a defined style, narrating in a calm voice. "This is for every girl who's been told her crown is too big for the room." The video was 37 seconds. She hit upload, then forgot about it until the comments poured in. "Where were you when I needed this?" "They told me the same thing. Thank you for being brave. Your hair is beautiful. You are beautiful." It hit 10,000 views overnight, then 50,000, then 100,000. Her follower count doubled in 3 days. Women messaged her from Detroit to Dallas to Dubai, saying they'd been fired, shamed, or humiliated for wearing their natural hair. Some were teens, some were mothers, some were CEOs. All of them had felt what she felt. Aisha sat at her tiny kitchen table, reading every word, heart pounding. She hadn't even tried to start something. She had just shared her truth. But the world was ready to hear it. One comment stood out. "Girl, do you take clients? I'd kill to have my curls styled like yours." She stared at the message, then looked around her apartment. No salon, no fancy chairs, just a mirror, a ring light, and 2 hands full of magic. She replied, "I can work with what I've got." The first client came on a Saturday afternoon. Her name was Kiara, a college sophomore with bouncy type 4 curls and eyes full of hope. She'd seen Aisha's video on TikTok and messaged her, practically begging for an appointment. "I just want someone who knows how to love my hair," Kiara wrote. "Not fix it, not change it, just love it." Aisha was nervous. She didn't have a salon chair, only her kitchen stool. No shampoo basin, just the bathroom sink. No receptionist, no lavender towels, no flute of champagne. But what she did have was passion and magic in her hands. Kiara sat down, pulled her hoodie back, and whispered, "This is my first time trusting anyone with my natural hair." Aisha smiled, her fingers already moving with grace and certainty. "Then let's make it the first of many." 2 hours later, Kiara was glowing, literally and spiritually. Defined curls, moisturized edges, confidence in every strand. She posted, before and after photos and tagged Aisha. By the next morning, Aisha had 23 new DMs. Can you do mine next? My daughter needs this, please. You travel? The demand was real, and so, the hustle began. Aisha cleared a corner of her apartment, bought a full-length mirror from a thrift store, and strung warm fairy lights around it. She borrowed a second-hand ring light from her cousin and set up her iPhone on a stack of books. Each client was welcomed with a smile, a playlist of feel-good R&B, and the question, how do you want to feel when you leave here? Because that was the point. Not just looking good, but feeling seen. Word spread. Through Instagram stories, tagged posts, whispered referrals at church and college campuses. Women came with curls, coils, kinks, and crowns. Some broken, some brave, some both. Aisha styled each one like they were royalty. She didn't just twist hair. She unraveled years of shame. She didn't just trim split ends. She cut away the memory of every insult they'd ever received in a corporate boardroom, a classroom, a date. One day, a young girl sat in her chair, maybe 13, arms folded, tight across her chest. She mumbled, "My teacher said my hair's too wild for school pictures. My mom said maybe I should just straighten it to make it easier." Aisha gently turned her toward the mirror. "Baby, your hair doesn't need to be easier. The world needs to stop being lazy." And she styled that girl like a queen. The photo went viral. Over 1 million views in a week. Aisha's follower count exploded. She wasn't just a hairstylist anymore. She was becoming something more. A voice, a movement. A mirror that reflected truth back to those who had forgotten their worth. But, with growth, came pressure. She was booked out for weeks. DMs piled up. Clients started asking about products. What do you use for your twist-outs? How do you get this much moisture? Do you sell anything? Aisha hesitated. She didn't have a product line. She barely had labels. But one night, while sitting at her kitchen table, twisting her own hair by candlelight, she looked at the mason jar of whipped shea butter her mother used to make. The scent, vanilla, rosemary, coconut. Memory? A legacy? She smiled. Maybe she didn't need a corporate lab. Maybe she was the lab. The next week, she launched her first product, Crown and Glory. Hydration butter small batch. Handmade, all natural. Sold through a free website she built herself. She only made 30 jars. They sold out in 4 hours. Aisha didn't plan to go viral, but TikTok had other plans. It started with a behind-the-scenes video, her stirring a bowl of fluffy, golden whipped shea butter with a wooden spoon, soft music in the background, her caption simple, "Made with love for our crowns." Within hours, the video had 300,000 views. By the next day, it was over 1 million. Then came the comments, flooding in like a storm. "I need this in my life. Where can I buy this?" Finally, something for Spy Us. Your story gives me chills, thank you, Queen. Aisha blinked at the screen, heart racing. This wasn't just attention. This was a movement. She spent that whole weekend mixing batches in her tiny kitchen. Jars lined her counters, her windowsill, her nightstand. Every surface was filled with promise. Mom even came by to help. "Mama, I'm making 200 jars this time." Mama Rose just grinned. "Baby, you're not making jars. You're making history." Then came the email. Subject line, partnership inquiry. From Essence magazine, Aisha nearly dropped her phone. They wanted to feature her story. They had seen the TikToks. They had read the comments. And they wanted to highlight her in their next digital issue under Young Moguls to Watch. She said yes, duh. The day the article dropped, her website crashed, overwhelmed by traffic. Her Instagram shot past 100,000 followers. And DMs? Forget it. "Can you speak at our college? Would you do a pop-up in Atlanta? Are you hiring? I'm a chemist. Can I help scale your formula?" Even celebrities were resharing her videos. Actress Layla Brooks posted, "Black hair is not a trend, it's legacy." Shout out to Aisha for real for reminding the world. That post alone brought in 10,000 new orders. Aisha stared at her phone, wide-eyed. Was this real? Just weeks ago, she had been folding towels at La Lumiere, being told her hair was too bold for the brand. And now? Now she was the brand. But success wasn't smooth. Her first major hiccup came when shipping delays hit. Customers were waiting. Emails poured in. Some kind, others not. Aisha stayed up all night printing labels by hand, stuffing boxes, checking addresses twice. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, and scared. What if this was too much? What if it all fell apart? One night around 2 a.m., she sat on her floor, surrounded by packages, her hands sticky with oil, her phone buzzing non-stop. She whispered, "I can't do this." Then, as if summoned, her phone lit up again. It was a message, no profile pic. Just text. "My daughter was bullied at school for her hair. We found your video. She watched it 20 times. She wore her afro proudly the next day. Thank you for giving her her crown back." Aisha stared at the screen and wept. Not from exhaustion, but from clarity. This wasn't just about jars. It wasn't about hair. It was about healing, about reclamation, about every black girl who was ever told to sit down, be quiet, straighten up, fade in. Not anymore. Not on her watch. She called her cousin Kareem, a business major. He helped her set up a Shopify store, automate shipping, and file for an LLC. She officially registered her brand. Crown and Glory tagline? For hair that refuses to shrink, and women who refuse to shrink with it. With Kareem's help, she hired 2 assistants. One ran fulfillment, one ran customer service. She even rented a tiny workspace, no longer her apartment kitchen. It had white walls, exposed brick, a big empty floor. She looked at it and whispered, "Let's build an empire." The day Aisha signed the lease for her first salon, she cried. Not the shaky, scared kind of crying. The full body, "I can't believe I'm really doing this" kind. The space wasn't fancy. It used to be a dry cleaner, old linoleum floors, faded signage, buzzing fluorescent lights. But when she stepped inside, she saw more than cracks in the wall. She saw mirrors with gold trim. She saw shelves lined with her products. She saw black and brown women sitting in chairs, heads held high, curls unbothered, laughter echoing through the walls. She saw freedom. This wasn't just a salon. This was a sanctuary. The renovations began immediately. Paint buckets, hair dryers, velvet chairs, custom-made mirrors. She hired local artists to paint murals on the walls. Women with afros and head wraps, eyes full of fire. The center mural read, "We don't fix hair. We celebrate it." She named the salon Crown and Glory Studio, same brand, same mission. But now, a physical home. Opening day was a blur. Lines out the door, press, influencers, former clients. People drove in from Vegas, Oakland, even Texas, just to be part of it. Mama Rose cut the ribbon. Aisha stood in the middle of the floor looking at the crowd, heart pounding. "This is for every girl who was told her hair was a problem," she said, voice thick with tears. "Come sit in our chairs. We'll remind you it's a gift." The room erupted. Cheers, applause, fists in the air. But with the spotlight came shadows. One afternoon, a woman walked in unannounced. High heels, blazer, clip-in extensions, lipstick too bright. She looked familiar. Aisha blinked, then remembered. Jess, one of the stylists from La Lumiere. Back then, she laughed behind Aisha's. "Back now?" She looked uneasy. "Aisha, hey," Jess said, voice light. "Wow, this place is like blowing up on my feed. Thought I'd come check it out." Aisha kept her tone polite. "Professional. Well, here it is." Jess looked around, arms folded. "Cute. Space. Very niche. You doing okay with products and licensing? That stuff can get tricky." Aisha smiled without warmth. "We're fully certified. Legal team in-house. Thanks for the concern." Jess hesitated, then dropped it. "So, are you hiring?" The question hit like thunder. Aisha stared at her. This woman, who once said her afro was too loud, who watched her get pushed out and said nothing, now wanted in? A long pause. Aisha kept her voice even. We're not just building stylists here. We're building safe space, and that starts with energy. You remember energy, right? Jess looked away, mumbled something, then walked out. Aisha turned back to her station, hands trembling. That moment wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming power, without becoming what tried to destroy you. But not all challenges wore lipstick and heels. There were plumbing issues, delayed shipments, a stylist quit mid-week, an online troll posted a video claiming her products caused scalp burns. It wasn't true, but it spread fast. Orders dipped. She received hate mail. One said, "You'll always just be the girl who got fired." Another, "You're not a CEO. You're a glorified hairdresser." At first, she felt the weight. The old fear crept back in. What if they're right? But then she remembered the girl who sat in her apartment chair months ago, the one whose teacher called her hair wild, and she whispered to herself, "I'm not doing this for the trolls. I'm doing this for the little black girls," watching in silence. So she posted a video. No makeup, no glam, no filter, just her speaking straight to camera. "I was told my hair wasn't professional, that I didn't belong in the beauty world, that I'd never succeed doing things my way. But I'm not here to make them comfortable. I'm here to make us seen." It went viral, again. 3 million views in 2 days, and the comments? "I needed this. My daughter watched this and cried. Keep going, Queen." Her sales doubled. Investors began to call, and slowly the noise faded. 6 months after the grand opening of Crown and Glory Studio, Aisha stood inside a warehouse. Not a fancy office, not a stage, just a 2,000-square-foot concrete box with high ceilings and humming ventilation. But to her, it was sacred ground, because this cold, empty space was the birthplace of her next chapter. The product line, not just whipped butters made in her kitchen, not just limited batches packed by hand. This was mass production. Aisha had teamed up with a black-owned beauty lab in Oakland. They believed in her vision, not just as a businesswoman but as a culture shifter. She worked with chemists to create a full product line. Curl, defining cream. Hydration, mist. Growth oil, co-wash, cleanser. Silk scalp. Serum. Each formula was tested on real women with real hair. No harsh chemicals, no fake promises, only the good stuff. The kind your scalp sings about. Packaging, minimal, elegant. Afro silhouettes in gold. Labels that read, "This is not just for your hair. This is for your healing." When the line launched, it sold out in 3 hours. Then came the call that would change everything. "Hello, this is Tamara from The View." Aisha almost dropped her phone. They wanted her on the show to talk about her brand, her story, her crown. She flew to New York the next week, hair big, skin glowing, dressed in emerald green, and when they asked her, live on national television. What would you say to the people who once told you your hair wasn't professional? Aisha smiled, looked right at the camera, and said, "I'd say, thank you, because their rejection gave me purpose, and purpose gave me power." The audience erupted. That clip alone hit 8 million views on YouTube. After the show, her inbox exploded. "We want your products in Sephora. We'd love to collaborate on a documentary. Speaking gig at Essence Fest. We're launching a scholarship in your name." But Aisha didn't just want exposure. She wanted impact. So she built the Crown Fund, a non-profit arm of her company that provided free hair care kits to girls in underserved communities, legal resources for women discriminated against because of their hair grants for aspiring black stylists to open their own salons, because she hadn't forgotten. Not the sting of that salon manager's voice, not the burn of being dismissed, not the silence from the other stylists who said nothing. She remembered it all, and she channeled it, not into bitterness, but into building. But success brought new challenges. She was now managing a staff of 23 people, a product line in 42 states, a salon with a wait list 6 months long, a public image with millions watching, and not everyone was rooting for her. Anonymous blogs accused her of dividing the industry. A popular influencer posted a reaction video titled, "Is Crown and Glory overrated?" There were whispers, "She's too loud, too political, too focused on black hair. What about everyone else?" Aisha felt the weight, the pressure to explain, to soften, to make herself smaller. But then she remembered her own words. "I'm not here to make them comfortable. I'm here to make us seen." So she leaned in, started a podcast, The Rooted Truth, spotlighting voices of black beauty entrepreneurs, launched pop-up salons in Atlanta, Detroit, and London, and hired her 2 younger sisters, one to run logistics, the other to head product development. It became a family empire. Late one night, Aisha sat in her new office, now high above downtown LA, overlooking the skyline. She looked out the window, a glass of ginger tea in her hand, and whispered to herself, "This started with a jar and a broken heart. But now it was a movement, a sanctuary, a revolution, disguised as a beauty brand." The email came at 10:04 a.m. Subject line, "Business Acquisition Opportunity, La Lumiere, Beverly Hills." Aisha almost choked on her smoothie. La Lumiere, the salon, the one that told her she wasn't on brand, the one that told her to tame her afro, the one that fired her with a smile. She stared at the screen. The message was polite, professional, vague. Apparently, the owners were looking to quietly sell the salon and 2 other branches. Something about restructuring, declining revenues, and a shift in market demographics. In plain words, they were losing money, and they wanted out. Aisha didn't answer right away. She closed the laptop, took a long walk, let the breeze tangle her curls. Could she? Should she? Did she even want to? She thought about the girl she used to be, 24, nervous, trying to make herself small. And then she thought about every woman who had walked into her own salon since that day. Every smile, every tear, every moment of healing. A slow smile spread across her face. "Let's talk." The meeting was set at a rooftop lounge in downtown LA. Aisha arrived early, black power suit, hair full and glorious, eyes calm. The 2 owners of La Lumiere arrived 10 minutes late, still dressed like they ran empires, still pretending they hadn't once dismissed her as unpolished. But this time, they were the ones fidgeting. "Aisha, it's so good to see you again," one of them said, fake warmth oozing from her voice. "We've, really admired how far you've come." Aisha smiled. "Easy. Thanks, I've been watching your journey too." Silence, then paperwork, valuations, revenue charts, legal projections. They quoted a price. Aisha didn't blink. She'd already run the numbers. Crown and Glory was profitable, backed by investors and pulling in more than double their salon chain. She could buy La Lumiere outright. No partners, no loans. Just her signature. They thought they were selling a business, but Aisha knew what she was really buying: closure, justice, legacy. 2 weeks later, the deal closed. It was official. Aisha Williams now owned La Lumiere, but she didn't announce it. Right away, she waited for the right moment. It came on a Tuesday morning. She walked through the front doors of the Beverly Hills location, the exact salon that once told her her hair was too big for the space. Nothing had changed. Same velvet chairs, same marble counters, same manager, Valentina. She looked up, shocked. "Aisha?" Aisha smiled. "Good to see you, Val." Valentina blinked. Can I help you with something?" Aisha handed her an envelope. Valentina opened it, read, paused, and then palmed her chest. "You're the buyer?" Aisha nodded. "I'm the owner." Valentina's face drained of color. I didn't know. I wasn't told." Aisha cut in, voice soft but steel. "I know." Silence stretched between them. Valentina looked down. Aisha looked around. "You told me I didn't fit the brand, but I've built a brand that fits me. one that celebrates what this place tried to shrink. She paused, then added, "You can stay on, for now. But the culture, it changes today." Valentina nodded, eyes wide, words caught in her throat. Aisha turned, heels clicking against the marble, and walked through the salon like she had owned it forever. Because now, she did. The press caught wind of the story within days. Fired for her Afro, now she owns the salon that let her go. From rejection to real estate, crown and glory strikes again. Beauty justice served and styled. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended. Bar full circle, Afro justice, crown and glory, takeover, and Aisha? She didn't gloat. She didn't clap back. She simply posted one photo, her standing in front of La Lumiere's sign, arms crossed, Afro high, a knowing smile on her lips. Caption, "Return to the scene. Not for revenge, but for redemption." The day Crown and Glory went national, it didn't feel real. Aisha stood at the edge of a stage in Chicago, heart thudding, microphone in hand, facing a crowd of over 12,000 people. It was the Beauty Forward Summit. Every big name in the industry was there. Brand founders, CEOs, magazine editors, young creators, and more than anything, Black women. Lots of them. Some wore braids, others locks, some shaved bald, many crowned with afros. It was like standing inside a living, breathing revolution. When they introduced her, the room stood up before she even spoke. Our next speaker needs no introduction. From rejection to redefinition. Please welcome Aisha Williams, founder of Crown and Glory. She walked out, tall, radiant, grounded. No cue cards, no script, just truth. When I was fired for wearing my natural hair, I thought it was the worst day of my life. Turns out it was the beginning of something so much bigger. I didn't build Crown and Glory just to style hair. I built it so no other woman would ever have to shrink herself to fit in a room that was never built for her. The room was silent, breathless. Then applause thundered, a standing ovation that didn't end. And in that moment, Aisha didn't just feel like a success. She felt like a vessel for every mother who'd pressed their daughter's hair out of fear. For every student who'd been told to tone it down. For every corporate woman who smiled through microaggressions. She wasn't standing there alone. She was standing for all of them. The following year, Crown and Glory launched salons in 15 major cities: Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, DC, New York, Oakland. Each location was community-owned. Stylists were offered shares. Profits funded local scholarships. Teen girls interned in summer training programs. They didn't just teach hair care, they taught self-worth. Aisha was featured on the cover of Essence Forbes. Allure headlines read, "From Fired to Founder, the woman who rewrote the beauty standard. Meet the CEO who made natural hair luxury." The White House invited her to join a policy roundtable on workplace discrimination and the Crown Act, legislation designed to protect against hair-based bias. Aisha sat in that room, suited up, voice calm but unwavering. You can't talk about professionalism without first asking who gets to define it. Lawmakers took notes. The bill passed in 15 more states that year, and when a reporter asked what her next goal was, Aisha said, "To make beauty inclusive, by default, not a trend, not a hashtag, a standard, but with legacy comes reflection." One evening, Aisha flew back home to Atlanta. She didn't tell anyone. No press, no cameras, just her and Mama Rose. They sat on the old front porch, legs crossed, hair wrapped in scarves, sipping sweet tea. "Baby," Mama Rose said, eyes misty, "do you realize what you've done?" Aisha smiled. "I just wanted to prove I belonged." Her mama reached over, touched her cheek. "You didn't just prove you belong. You created a place for all of us to belong." A soft breeze passed through the trees, and for the first time, in a long time, Aisha let herself breathe. That night, she walked back into her childhood bedroom. Posters still on the walls, old curling irons in the closet, cracked mirror, and in a shoebox under her bed, her very first jar of homemade she. butter, the label faded. The scent still sweet. She held it like it was made of gold because it was. It always had been. She posted one last video that night, just her in her bonnet, no makeup, sitting on that same bed. To every little black girl out there, they may tell, your crown is too much, but I promise you one day it'll be your superpower. 1 year later, the new Crown and Glory Academy opened its doors in South LA. Aisha stood at the entrance, flanked by students, stylists, mothers, and mentors. Balloons swayed in the breeze, and a gold banner stretched across the front gate, where culture meets confidence. The academy wasn't just a school, it was a haven. Here, students weren't taught to fix hair, they were taught to understand it. Here, texture wasn't a challenge, it was a language. History wasn't erased, it was celebrated. And every classroom began the day with the same affirmation. My crown is my story, and my story is powerful. Inside, framed portraits lined the hallway, women with kinks, coils, and curls, smiling, bold, unapologetic. Among them, a young girl in a green hoodie with freshly styled twists, eyes shining like hope itself. Her name was Ava. She was 12. She'd been bullied relentlessly for her hair, called broomhead, lion mane, messy. Her mother brought her to Aisha's salon after seeing a viral video. It changed everything. Ava now walked taller, spoke clearer, smiled bigger, and today, she stood beside Aisha on stage at the grand opening, reading from a note card, voice trembling but proud. Miss Aisha showed me that my hair isn't ugly, it's magic. And now, I want to be like her. I want to make people feel beautiful. Just for being real. The audience wept, Aisha included. She walked over, hugged Ava tight, and whispered in her ear, never forget that. The world will try to dim it. But baby, you are the light. Later that night, after the ceremony, Aisha stayed behind. The campus was quiet. She wandered into one of the classrooms, fingertips brushing over the desks. She stopped at the chalkboard, picked up a piece of white chalk, and wrote, "You are enough. Exactly as you are." Then she stood back, smiled, breathed. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from a stylist in Detroit, one of the first graduates of her scholarship program. Just did a full salon of natural queens today. Booked solid for the month. Thank you for opening the door. Another message followed. From a girl in Brazil. I found your products at a market in Sao Paulo. I've never felt prouder of my roots. Another from a teacher in London. We played your TED Talk in our Black History Month assembly. My students now say their hair is a superpower. Aisha scrolled, heart full. She wasn't chasing numbers anymore. She wasn't proving anything. She was pouring into the world what it had once denied her. Before bed, she recorded a voice message to herself, a tradition she'd started years ago, during her apartment hustle days. She pressed record. Dear Aisha, if you're listening to this years from now, remember what mattered. Not the fame, not the press, but the look on a girl's face when she sees herself, truly, for the first time. Remember, it all began with a no, and you turned it into a kingdom of yeses. In the morning, she woke to a sunrise through her window. No alarm, no meetings, just peace. She stood in front of her mirror, no makeup, hair wild and soft from the night, and smiled. She wasn't fixing anything. She wasn't straightening, sculpting, controlling. She was just existing, and that was revolutionary. Somewhere in the world, a girl watched her first Aisha video today. Somewhere, a mother ordered her first Crown and Glory kit. Somewhere, a stylist unboxed their first wholesale shipment with trembling hands, and, somewhere, someone whispered, because of her, I didn't give up. Because of Aisha Williams, the world had changed. Not overnight, not all at once, but undeniably. One twist at a time, one crown at a time, one truth at a time. The end. But not really, because the message lives on.